Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. Hope you're having a great Friday. We're actually doing really well here. The weather is a little bit crappy. We've had some snow today. I don't know about where you're located at, but we're still in the midst of winter. Anyways, today, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gary Robillard. I'll be your host today. We'll be going through some opportunity management. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a way of managing your potential business so business doesn't slip through the cracks. And so today we're going to be chatting about that, and we're going to actually go through and show you how you can manage that with the ACT-CRM. But one of the things that over the many years that I've been, I had a training company before I got into this over 30 years ago. And one of the things that I always found that there are several things that salespeople and business people in general neglected to a certain degree. And the two things were managing your activities, or time management is probably one of the better terms that people are familiar with. I call it activity management because we're managing activities in the context of a time frame. But let's just call it time management. And then the other one was opportunity management, managing your particular opportunities for your business. And I've seen everything imaginable on how people were managing their opportunities. I've seen it where they've just kept it in their head. I've seen it where they've wrote it in a notebook. I've seen it where they've used Excel spreadsheets, all sorts of different ways of tracking their stuff. And then management wanted to say, hey, show me what your opportunities are. And then they spend a couple of hours pulling all this stuff together for a meeting that they're going to have. And it is probably one of the most underutilized items in a CRM system. And it doesn't matter which CRM system, I've seen it all across the board. But it's one of the most crucial parts. There is so much business. I've literally seen millions of dollars. We had one client that we acquired, and just prior to us acquiring them, to be able to help them with their CRM strategy, they lost $3 million project. And I won't go into the details, but it was because they weren't tracking it, and the salesperson, well, let's just say it got messed up. And so I've literally seen millions of dollars being lost. And so it all adds up. But you need a place to catch it, so you're reviewing it and being able to keep track of what is actually going on. For most people, for most businesses, you're going to have multiple opportunities. And for some companies, maybe you're only dealing with 3 to 5 high-end customers, and so it's really not necessary for that. But for most people, I'd say 95% of the people, some way of managing this is the way to do it. So we're going to dive in and we're going to show you how to manage opportunities. It's not that hard. Once you get the flow of it, it's actually really simple. And you create this synergy between you and the other members of your team that may support you in the opportunities. And it allows you to kind of track where people are through the sales funnel. So let's go over to my other screen here. And now, before we dive into this, I wanna put a plug out to you, and I think this is quite important. I forgot to bring this up. I've got a compass downstairs, and I forgot to bring it up. One of the things you need to do when you start your day is there's two things you need to do prior to getting into reaction mode. Now, reaction mode is when the phone starts ringing and you start answering the phone, or you start looking at your voicemails and or listening to your voicemails and opening up email. So before you actually start those two reactive activities, pull out the compass. Now, I'm using this metaphorically, but pull out the compass, meaning have a look at two things. One, click on your calendar. Hey, what have I got going on today? Organize your stuff. Make sure you've got your day kind of booked. Whatever you're going to do, what are you trying to accomplish that day? I personally like the week view. We'll be doing another live stream on activity management in the future. But that's the first one. Go check your calendar. What do you got on the go? Second one, just as important, if not more important, is click on your opportunity list and say, what have I got in the sales funnel? And there's going to be several ways we're going to look at this, but let's just say we want to look at their opportunities and we want to be able to manage what the heck we've got going on in our sales funnel. And so those are the two things that I would suggest and invite you to do. And I'll mention it again before we end our live stream today, that I think those are two critical things that if you can establish the habit for doing those, it will be well with you for being able to get a little bit better on top of things. There are literally thousands of dollars each year, and probably tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars each year slip through the cracks because they don't review their opportunities on a daily basis. Say, what have I got going on? All right, let's dive into this. So this is the ACT CRM for those of you who are not familiar with ACT, and it has an opportunity management in here. Now you see this screen here. This is kind of I want you to think of, and especially with the ACT CRM, I'm not, with other CRMs are not as flexible maybe as the ACT CRM when it comes to opportunity management. But what you see there, think of it as a blank canvas. Anything that you want to capture on an opportunity or things that you want the opportunity to do can be done either through just customizing it or actually doing some programming in behind to make it do what you want it to do. And that's one of the powerful things about the ACT CRM is it allows us to take opportunity management and kind of make it work for my specific needs as a business owner. And so this is fairly vanilla. We've got, what is the opportunity, how many days it's open, what are the totals. In this particular one, we have products and services where you can actually track the products and services. Now, for my specific needs, I don't use products and services because it's just another step to pop up, and I like to get in and get out and be efficient in using this. So this one has the ability to pop up, and then you can have a list of items, both for names. I'm not going to go in and edit any of that, but you can put a bunch of stuff in here if you want to use the products and services. I'm going to change over to, I'm using the advisor template here, but this doesn't matter, what business you're in. It's going to be the same thing, but I just want to show you how you can customize this to kind of wrap around any way you want it to work. And so I'm going to use the advisor high res one. Sure, give me an error. We're doing live stream. All right, let's. Okay, it's going to act goofy for me. Yeah, let me just restart this. I got a lot of beta software on here, so sometimes this happens where things just don't work. There we go. We're going to pop back in, and so one of the things you're going to want to have on your agenda is when you're having a sales meeting or an operations meeting or any kind of meeting, opportunities can be used in two ways. One, for the salesperson to manage what they've got on the go, and two, be able to help anybody in support or anybody in operations or purchasing to be able to see what's coming down the funnel so that they may take advantage of buying opportunities where they may get a discount on buying more of whatever it is that they're selling or providing. And so there's a lot of different reasons to use opportunity management or use the opportunities function within the ACT database. So let's just go back over to our details list here. All right, so this will work a little better now. So you can see in here, I've customized this. I've got a date stamp. I can actually go in here and add some stuff. I can create an activity right from here. And in this particular case, we're dealing with financial advisors, so adding investment, insurance information in here. You've got, now in here, a lot of times people will just have sales opportunities as a process. And in here, you've got two different parts of this. You've got the process, and then you've got stages within that process. So for an example, in this particular one, under opportunities, I've got, and these are all editable, you can have identified, qualified, presentation, discuss. This is all editable. You can put whatever stages you have. So if you've got a specific sales methodology um, that you use or have been trained on, you can adjust this to match that particular sales opportunity process. And then you can add other stuff. Like in this case, and this is the reason why I'm using the financial advisor, because they have many processes, not just one. So I could go into here and say, okay, what's in underwriting? And then we have underwriting processes or stages within that process. And I've got transfer switches. So you can have multiple processes. So maybe for a regular business, maybe you're a construction company, and maybe you've got a sales process, and then you've got a project process. So one of the processes project. So project start date, and then whatever stages there are in that project to get to the completion date. So again, customize this any way you want. You'll notice in this particular one, I don't have the products and services in here. However, when I enter information into the opportunities, even though that's not showing up, we had it programmed so that it just populates it. So I can say, well, what's the opportunity for insurance? What is the revenue? And this thing will just calculate, pop it in the bottom, and then it shows up in other areas so that I can actually see the key performance indicators for this particular opportunity. So if you're an ACT user, go to the opportunities and have a look and say, well, what do I want to capture? What do I want to collect as information? So some of the major stuff obviously is the processes and stages. You're going to want to know some dates. When was this open? When is the estimated close date? Then you have actual close date. It'll actually show you how many days you've been in that particular opportunity, and each stage you can have it. How long have I been in that stage? So it just helps you keep track of what's going on. The big thing in here is that you can use this to manage the flow from the time there's interested to the time that there's completion. You've got this all tracked, and you've got this list view that you can actually track it. And so on the right-hand side, you've got filters over here. You can say, okay, I only want the ones that are open. You could see from a postmortem any close loss, close won, find out why you lost them, who you're losing the business to. Then you've got the opportunities. What process do you want to look at, and what stage in those processes? So you've got lots of filtering over here. You can look at your opportunities, or you can look at everyone's opportunities based on selecting the user. And so this just gives you a really good heads up of what's going on. And the nice thing is I can click on, say, I want to go look at Arnold and say, yeah, I haven't talked to Arnold. It's been 115 days in this stage. I want to click on Arnold here. I can go to Arnold's record. And I can actually, I did that wrong. Let's do that again. All right. So this should take me right to Todd Miller. Let's see if this takes, there we are. That's working better. Takes me to Todd. I can give Todd a call. I can send him an email. I can, check his contact record out, make sure, I'm up to date with what's going on, have a look at maybe the history. And then I can always go back to the opportunities and carry on to the next one. So this just allows me to keep track. You can go into here and customize the columns, add whatever column you want from the left-hand side onto the right-hand side, organize it by moving items up and down to get it to look and feel exactly what you want. And then for those of you now, whichever one that you're on, whether it's the details view or the list view, it will stick. So when you go out of this view and come back in, so if I was on the, let's go onto the details view, and then I go over here to say groups for a second, and then I come back to opportunities, it's going to still be in the details view. And the list view is exactly the same. Now the pipeline view doesn't do that. It doesn't stick. And we've put a request in for version 25 of ACT that they actually make that sticky. So whatever one I choose on these three items, it will stick. Now, one of the things that I love about this is the pipeline view. The pipeline view gives me an ability to look at things visually. And I'm a visual person, so it allows me to see how many I've got identified, qualified, what's the count? I've got 21. Here's the total value, weighted total, forecasted total, average age. And that's an average age because this was created back in 2008, this template. I'm just going to close off the KPI for a second, just so you can see the Kanban down at the bottom. Now, this is the cool thing about the Kanban. And if you're not familiar with Kanban, do a search on, starts with K, Kanban. And it's a way of managing process from beginning to end. So for an example, if I've got one that's identified and now it's qualified, so I can take this critical illness insurance and I can drag it over underneath qualified. And maybe this particular one, this spousal RRSP, I can move that over to presentation. And you drag and drop your stuff along this process. And it just helps you keep track of what you're going on. So right now with this version of ACT, as of this date, this is on version 24. It doesn't have the ability to have this sticky so that when you click on opportunities, it pops this up. And if ACT doesn't, if that ACT doesn't make that work in 25, we're going to program it to do that. So you'll get it either way. And then up here, you can filter this to say, okay, let's just have a look. This is what we've got going on for sales. What about operations? What about the rest of the organization? So in here, let's just say underwriting, this is where the operations staff go in and manage all the paperwork. They can click on here and have a look at this, and it's like a little mini project management. So they can say, oh, this one here is in medical, it's now at head office, and they can just move stuff around and keep track of where things are at. So this could be used not only as a sales management tool, but it can also be used as a project management tool, light project management tool, to be able to manage where things are at in different stages. So get creative, get it set up, using it for opportunities for sales, potential business that you're going to come through the tracks, and then also set it up for maybe some other stuff like projects. You could set it up for warranty claims, like just think outside the box. And all of this stuff, let's go back to details view. This is so customizable that you can add stuff, move it around wherever you want, and kind of make this work for you. But the key thing is use it. Make sure that you're spending the time each day to have a look at it. What have I got going on to trigger you? We're all the same. We're busy. We're running around from pillar to post. And it's so easy if we're trying to remember it in our head. It's so easy just to get into the habit of clicking on that opportunity every morning and saying, hey, what have I got going on? The other thing that you can do with opportunities is once you're in the list view, for an example, you have the ability, if required, I mean, you can print this off, but you can also dump this into an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to take my sales opportunity, dump them into an Excel spreadsheet. I personally don't use this. I really don't need to see the kind of details and stuff that come up from this, but it does bring up like a pivot table, opportunity pivots. I haven't got this set up, but so it's just showing up just myself here. But it can dump into an Excel spreadsheet. I personally don't really need to do that for myself. It has opportunity graphs that you can actually pull up. So stuff like this that you can look at. Again, I mean, you can look at those graphs. There are reports that you can pull up. And that's the other thing, that when you're creating your opportunity layout where you're capturing the data for your opportunity, what is the output? Do you want to actually have hard copy reports or dashboard reports where you can actually see how things are looking? And there's many different ways that you can do this, either internally or third-party add-ons that you can add to actually see what's going on. But for me, I like to keep it simple. Let's just see what's going on. I use the pivot table or the pipeline view, see what's going on, manage my stuff as I'm going through, and then move on to the next one. For an example, while I'm in here, if I wanted to see Clint Williams here, I can just double-click on it, and it's going to bring up his opportunity, and then I can just click on his record and go to his record. So there's a lot of synergy of just clicking, double-clicking, or moving around so you can actually get to where you need to be as you're working with your opportunities. Let me just okay, these ones here, because I'm not using the table for the products and services table, you have the ability to adjust those from here. Mine doesn't pop up because I've not, mine's inactive for this particular screen. But you can pop different things up if you want to track the products and services. What I find for a lot of people, they want to key it in and just see it right here and not have to drill down. The only time that I would use the products and services when you're maybe using multiples, but there are ways around that too. We've been able to program around that. So you've got your details view, list view, and let me just see now that my filters went off, so I can go in here, and that's because I reset, and go into properties, opportunities, and I want to see all stages, and there you have everything that you would need. Now, if you want to actually look up these people in here, let's just click on the magnifying glass. That's going to actually bring up that particular person. So this is a quick way of pulling up that person. And then if I go over here, back into my opportunities, and I highlight these, and then go click on the magnifying glass, it's going to bring up all 15. So you can choose who you want to look at. So for example, if I'm in my opportunities and I want to see all the people that are in a specific stage. So I want to see all the people that are at the presentation stage. Highlight them, click on my magnifying glass, and those 3 people will pull up. And now I can make my calls, I can do my planning, whatever it is that I want to do with that in that particular stage. And this would be true as well if I'm in, like, say, a project management. And in this case, we're going to go over from opportunities to underwriting. And we have our underwriting list here. And I want to see all the people in the medical. And then just pull those up and just say, hey, we're still waiting for your medical, blah, 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 whatever you want to talk about. But you see how powerful this is for drilling down, being able to filter through and talk, pull up that information that helps you make decisions. That's the whole idea here. It's a catch-all for anything that's potential business, and then put that in. Now, here's a caveat to this. I guess not a caveat, but something to think about. I've seen some people that put everything that comes in, like a lead, they'll go and create an opportunity. You have to decide when you're going to put them in there because somebody has to management. So if somebody clicks on your website and says, hey, I might be interested in this, you go create an opportunity. I'm from the old school where I like to qualify the opportunity, so I'm going to make a call to the person, talk to them a little bit, and if this looks like, hey, I'm talking to the right person, they want to, there's some interest there, you come up with whatever qualifying matrix that you want or questions that you have, and then I will create an opportunity. But that's not the only way to do it. So for an example, we've got a construction company that does huge industrial projects. They may hear about the project in advance. So they may hear about the project, but they don't know who the person is who's having this built. So who's paying the bill? Who's the construction company that's going to be actually doing the work? The architect? They don't know any of that. They just know, hey, this is coming up. And so they'll create an opportunity ahead of the thing without linking it to anybody. So you can actually create an opportunity without linking it to a person. You'll notice that all these are linked to people, but you can create an opportunity without being linked. It could be a separate little thing all by itself, and then you can link people to it later. So there's many different ways of using opportunities. I've seen opportunities used in so many different ways for health, for chiropractors, doctors, different ways of managing different patients. I've seen it with real estate, all sorts of things. Anything that you can think of, this will work for any kind of opportunity or managing. For an example, we have accountants that use opportunities, not for opportunities because they don't have a sales team going out trying to strum up new business. What they use this for is when they get, say, a year end, they will create no, they don't call it an opportunity. We relabel this and call it something else, like year ends or work in progress, WIP, and then they will manage all of their workload that's coming in for year ends and maybe tax returns, all that sort of stuff, and then they can track all of the stuff in here. So this doesn't have to be used for one specific thing. It can be used for multiple things. So again, think of this as a blank canvas. How do you want to use it? Now, primarily, we're talking about managing sales opportunities, and that's really the first and foremost thing you should be using this for, unless you're maybe an accountant. And then you want to look at maybe other ways that you can use this. All right, I think, is there any questions? If you've got any questions, pop them up. Let me just pull up my questions thing here. Where are you? There you are. Let's see. Let me just read this one here. Schedule a to-do for an opportunity or for on a specific contact linked to it. Yes, you can create an opportunity or an activity, schedule an activity for this. So for an example, if I'm on Don Black, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So let's just go in here. I'll pull this up. Now natively, this does not have this, but you see a follow-up button up right here. So this creates an activity. We've also got create activity here because a lot of people, we're not looking down here on this column down here in the center part. Oh, by the way, I should mention this. You can add tabs here with additional information. So you're not limited to just everything up here. You can have tabs down here and add more information that you want to capture specific to this opportunity. But what I was going to go to is on the contacts here, you'll see a follow-up button. Click on that. It'll create an activity. So in the activity, it's going to link it to Don here, or Don or Sydney. Who's this linked to? Don. So it'll link to Don and Sydney. Cindy. I got a daughter named Sydney, and I have problems with that. And then you've got associated. So this is the individual. This is the organization, and it also is linked to the opportunity. So if I click on here, you'll see. Let's just go over to opportunities, and you'll see that it's linked to the opportunity as well. So in the opportunity, the activity. So I'm just going to create an activity. Well, let's just call it follow up on medical. Yep, spell checking complete. And then if I look at activities, there's the activity right there. So this activity is going to show up both on the opportunity as well as on the contact record. So hopefully, Walter, that's answered your question that yes, you can link this opportunity or create an activity that will link to the opportunity. So we've got, like I said, we've got a create activity button up here. But where you find it, for those of you who don't have this customization that we have for this particular, you're not a financial advisor, down here under contact, you'll see a follow-up button. That's where you create your activity, and it will link, like I said, both the opportunity and to the contact, and also to the company record as well. Hopefully that's answered your question, Walter. If you still have questions, Walter, you can either pop them in here or give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to answer those. Any other questions? All right. Well, hopefully this has helped you. Boy, that's loud, isn't it? Let's turn that down. So hopefully this has helped you. I'm going to put another plug in here. I invite you to take the time, carve off a couple of hours or an hour to say, how are you going to do this? Do it with your team. How are we going to manage opportunities? How can we better manage opportunities if you are using the opportunity management in ACT? So if you're using it already, well, how can you use it better? If you're not using it, let's get started. Start using it. because I promise you there's stuff slipping through the cracks if you don't, unless you've got one customer, then yeah, maybe you don't need it. But most of us, we have more than one customer, so we want to keep an eye on and track the opportunities. And keep in mind, if you're running in and say, well, geez, I wish it could do this, give us a call. We can custom program the opportunities to maybe do things that you want it to do that it doesn't natively do. So keep that in mind as well. Hope this has been helpful. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Look forward to our next live stream. I think next week we've got it, or the week after. February, I know we've got 3 or 4 lined up. And so keep an eye on your email for the invite. And for those of you who are not part of our client list where we send out the emails, subscribe to our channel or follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook, and you'll get the notification. And we'll see you on the next one. All the best. Have a great one.